Hello, welcome to another episode of Constitutionalist Podcast. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard. That's L-E-N-A-R-D. It looks French. It's not. It's Leonard without an O. Thank you for tuning in. As Graham Norton used to say on his show, let's get on with the show! Joining me today is David Savage. You all know I work with Podmatch, and we found each other on Podmatch, where it says about him. His book is based upon his experiences as a Philmont Ranger, backpacking guide, and another 25 years together with what we called the Six Pack. So we'll get into all that. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joseph.
I saw backpacking, and that was enough for me. Because my weekday specials with guests, I like to indeed be a variety of topics, and certainly heretofore, never had anyone talking about backpacking. So, hey, exercise, healthy. I've had health episodes, so definitely let's talk that. But first, where were you born and raised, significant places you've been in between, that sort of thing?
I was born in San Angelo, Texas, so I'm a native Texan, proud native Texan. Lived there for 3 years and then moved to Germany, Darmstadt, Germany. And my dad was a career Air Force, and we lived in Germany for 4 years. Then back to San Angelo, and unusually, because he taught the spy school, he did cryptology and linguistics. We kind of stayed in the same place, and I was able to go really first through 12th grade, in the same town, which is pretty unusual for an Air Force brat. And then I graduated and went to Texas A&M University. I was a nuclear engineering major my first year, which was 1978. And then in 1979 was 3 Mile Island. And I went to the counselor and said, I'm claustrophobic. I can't do life on a Navy submarine, so I'm going to need to change majors. And so then I graduated with a degree in civil engineering and worked for 4 or 5 years in civil engineering for a consulting firm. And then I got my professional engineer license, and I wanted to get compensated a little bit more based on my performance, because I felt like I was an above average performer, but I was getting average pay. And so I was recruited into a technical sales position for a company that's a global leader in specialty chemicals. So Nalco Chemical Company, which then became purchased by Ecolab, now is what you would know them as. Ecolab names around. But I was in the energy division in refining of petrochemicals, and had a 31-year career with them, and retired at the end of 2018, out of a global position. And, that I ended up, my mom and my brother were in memory care facilities, and they passed away in 2019. And that was one of the big kind of triggers for why I pulled the parachute a little early on retirement. And then I decided I was going to write this book, because I got mad about what was happening with the Boy Scouts of America, which I had a tremendous experience. That's why it's all about backpacking. And I actually worked as a backpacking guide at Philmont Scout Ranch, if anybody's familiar with that. It's a terrific place. And then actually continued to backpack for 25 years with this group that you referenced, the Six Pack, because they revered me and my scouting credentials as I revered them as the executives of those companies. But they were all Old Eagle Scouts. They called me up and they said, "Hey, we're looking for someone to go backpacking with us, and we heard you were a Philmont Ranger." And I called my boss and I said, "Hey, I got like these vice presidents, man, that want me to go backpacking with them." I said, "I'm not going to burn my personal vacation on this." And they go, "Are you kidding? We can't even get an appointment for an hour with those guys. You can spend a week with them, and you're sleeping in a tent. It doesn't even cost us anything except for the airline ticket." And then we did that for 25 years. And I learned more around the campfire about the whole refining and petrochemical business than I ever would have, lunches or on the golf course, because we were in challenging situations.
Yeah, I am familiar with Ecolab because
Okay.
I worked for Diversity Wyandotte Chemicals. Used to be Wyandotte
Okay.
Chemicals, bought up by Diversity subsidiary of Molson out of Canada. Became Diversity Wyandotte. I don't know if they're even still operating or not. If Molson finally got tired of them losing money,
Well, now Nalco bought
and
Diversey, so they did get rolled
oh,
into. So I think they're actually part of, you know, Ecolab now.
okay, yeah, I've fallen out of touch
Hmm.
with folks from back then, so I didn't really know. But the origin of the Diversity Wyandotte merger gobble up of Wyandotte by Diversity was Molson said, "Hey, if we need chemicals for our plants and whatnot. Why not have our own operation?" At any rate, what? Okay, we heard kind of the genesis and impetus to grow the backpacking into the book, but what was the origins of your first endeavor into the backpacking world?
Well, it was, obviously through the Boy Scouts, and so I had a a chief master sergeant of the NCO Academy at the Air Force Base who had a crew cut, was super fit, smoked filterless Camels, and was very tough. He was just a real kind of an inspirational figure in my life. I was kind of a clever kid, but I wasn't a big yes sir, no sir guy. And we went to summer camp for the first time, and he had this 1 pound coffee can painted yellow with a number 5 on it. He asked me a question, and I said, "Sure." And he goes, "Well, you're supposed to say yes, sir. So now you get to carry this 1 pound empty coffee can, painted with a baling wire handle everywhere around scout camp, to the mess hall, swimming, everything, and then I'll give you a chance to get rid of it. And if you answer properly, we get rid of it. If you don't, well, then I'm going to put a rock in it." So I tried a variety of ways. The next time he came up and asked me, and I said, "Okay," or I nodded or something, because I was just not going to be broken. And then, sure enough, I had a can full of rocks, that I was carrying around. And then I eventually, he broke me. And, and I was a yes, sir, no, sir kid by, the second day at camp. And I just have a lot of respect for how he taught me, and I needed it. I did a lot of backpacking, actually on church retreats, and I just love being out in the wilderness. I love the unpredictability of it, and your reliance on nature to kind of, if it's hailing, we might have to stay in the same spot, a couple of days, and you have to just throw out, your itinerary plan and say, we only have so many clothes and we can't get wet, so we're just going to have to hunker down here. And I just love being in God's creation, really. It's where I feel closest to God. And, I can sense it. There's a psalm, that's Psalm 19:1. It says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork." And that's true. When you're out there under an open sky at night in a campfire and you can really see the stars because you're in the wilderness, that really is like medicine for me. It really restores my soul.
Yeah, couple things off topic, but since you mentioned all that out there, the Spielberg Disclosure movie coming, in the trailer, there's a supposedly Catholic nun, when questioned, "Oh, aliens are real," and she says, implying, like I've always said along, "I'm not surprised. Why would God have created all that to leave it empty?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, back to the Scouts, and the point being the weakening. I hate to use the term, but the dumbing down, so to speak, of the whole program and lightening up. Because as you later and now say, discovered, he wasn't being mean. It was something he wanted to do to help mold you be a good person in society for your own good. And a lot of that is gone in what I refer to now as return. It seems a return to the hippies 60s days, right? If it feels good, all about me, only me. But the good thing that came out of that and the resurgence we're seeing now, I call it the Jesus Revolution too.
Right, right.
Eventually, a lot of those hippies, the ones not like Bernadine Dorns or Bill Ayers that went on to become terrorists, found God and realized, yeah, there has to be more to all this than just me, mine, give it to me yesterday. Yes?
I agree. In fact, the other thing about being outdoors is, we're creatures, just like other creatures. Now, God gave us the ability to reason, is what distinguishes us from all the other animals. But we tend to forget that we have instincts. And I think today, especially, with nothing but screens in front of our kids, they've lost complete touch with any kind of an instinct they have, or they wouldn't recognize it if they felt it. But there are two instincts that all of us have, and that's hunger and thirst. If you're hungry, your body, your brain, it tells you, I got to eat something. Thirst the same way. And so the way I view life is that, this hunger and thirst in the outdoors, it's easy to experience both of those. and I think that we have, every human on the planet, doesn't matter what race, what age, what gender, or anything, have two soul longings. One is a thirst for a love that cannot be diminished by performance. So, in other words, an unconditional love. We all thirst for that. And then the other is the hunger for to make a difference in that world that can't be erased. To leave some kind of a legacy. What's our impact on the world? And you can try to fill those two holes in your heart, which are your soul cravings, with all kinds of other things. But nothing satisfies. Nothing satiates that except for God. And so that's kind of my opening premise, if you will, for how my foundation of all my other thought life and beliefs.
I have an episode with Leslie Hall in the back catalog about, indeed, our animal side. A lot of people try to deny it, but it's there. And also that we think we're so evolved with all these new gadgets and gimmicks and toys we've come up with. We've made life a little easier on the one hand, but it's still the same human nature inside, and people try to deny that and create and live a delusion rather than understand those realities. You mentioned food. The literal as well as some figurative lessons that have to come out of that. Oh, that looks good. That looks tasty. That should be okay for me to consume, but not necessarily so. Yes?
Ask anybody that's eaten some poison berries or was experimenting with mushrooms and got the wrong ones.
You know exactly what I was going for there. Yes.
Those hippies. In fact, I was just in Georgia. We went to the Allman Brothers Band Museum in Macon, and all of their their artwork and their album covers all had these mushrooms on it. I didn't realize back then how big they were into mushrooms for their creative inspiration.
Yeah, today you see on TV now all kinds of ads for all the kind of mushroom-derived teas that can be good and healthy. One of those, again, lessons you need to look. There's good, there's bad in everything. Right. And you've got to learn to make those distinctions. The Allman Brothers, I'm 63, so I enjoyed them growing up. I was never a huge fan. And of course, Greg, Mary, and Cher. Well, I can separate the person from the art, and I loved her art too. Don't like her at all, but but that he married her, like, oh boy, what's really going on there? But anyway, again, you're not here to talk music. You're here to talk backpacking. Without spoiling the book, obviously, we want to promote the book and people to read it. Outside of the things we talked about so far, the health aspects of it, things you learn about life in the literal and figurative while out there, what other things are you trying to convey?
Well, so the reason why I chose backpacking is because, first of all, my experiences, many experiences, as I considered writing.
Try to use it as a metaphor.
It is.
Like I like to joke, though, I'm far too clever as an author for metaphors. I use meta sixes, but I'm fine. Anyway, continue.
Well, so when I was considering, the idea of the book, so first I got righteously angry when the Supreme Court, basically said that they had to allow homosexuals into Boy Scouts of America as scout leaders. And then, of course, that was followed by all the sexual assault cases, which is torn down. BSA is an institution. It's no longer got boy in the name. They've got girls getting Eagle Scout awards.
What a shock that would happen. Yeah.
And that watered down and diminished the significance of my Eagle Scout Award and all those before in the first 100 years of scouting. That was, because you got to remember the Scout Oath says, we're to help other people at all times. We have a duty to God and country to keep ourselves physically strong, mentally awake, morally straight. Well, good grief, who could be against an organization like that that's trying to help boys, who are selfish and blaming and immature, grow into men like with a scoutmaster like I had. And so my really motivation of the book was to a defense of scout. Well, there were things going on in the elections because, look, you're called, Christitutionalist. This is about politics. And I've been deeply involved in politics for most of my life. I was a delegate to the National Convention for the Republican Party in 2008. And then again in 2024. So for 16 years in there, I was heavily engaged in politics, trying to affect positive change, for our country, and culturally and legislatively and everything else. But nothing more fruitless in my whole life than all the time, treasure, and talent I spent on that. So I said I'm going to write a book. And this was during COVID, and everybody's like, oh my God, I said, I'm going to do something, productive. And then I also realized that as I began to listen to people, we watch jaywalking, and he's out there on the street, and these people are excited about being on TV, proving how ignorant they are. They couldn't name the vice president of the United States, and they're laughing about it. It's like, I would not want to be on television showing what a fool I am. But nevertheless, so I began to think, I don't know if there's 51% of the population that thinks it like I do, that we can win elections anymore. And so I believe, like the Jews and the diaspora, we got punished, for being undisciplined and for falling away and everything. And so, they're over in Babylon and they're weeping, for their lost Israel. But you know what? They wrote things down, and it's called the Bible. And so what I decided was, look, all right, the Boy Scouts doesn't exist as I knew it anymore, but I'm going to write something down that maybe 200 years from now, they'll go, they used to have this organization called BSA, and they used to put out a pretty good product in terms of a young man at the end of an Eagle Scout. And so I wanted to kind of capture it. I also wanted it to be a Christian book. And then I talked to Gary Thomas, who wrote the book Sacred Marriage, and he sold 1 million copies of it, and he was our writer in residence at our church, a big mega church here in Houston. And I went and I talked to him about being an author, and I said, look, this is what I want to do. I want to write this book. And he said, well, I don't know if it should be a memoir because, nobody knows who David Savage is. Why would anybody want to read your memoir? I'm like, well, I
say that all the time to people who want to author a book. Yeah.
Right. So I said, but men's ministry, everybody is like finger wagging, and you should do this and you should do that. And he goes, but if you could put some humor in it, that would really be novel and unique. And so that's what I did. My book is kind of a hybrid. It is a memoir because I had decided to self-publish. I didn't want a traditional publishing company to be able to edit out pieces of my life,
Water
that I thought were
down.
important.
Yep.
And so, originally, I wanted it to be largely, supportive of the scouting ideals, and then I also have been very involved in an organization called Better Man, and they have a definition, a biblical definition of manhood that says, a real man, a biblical man, rejects passivity, accepts responsibility, leads courageously, and then lives his life for the greater reward, God's reward. And so that was the manhood definition of my house with my 3 sons. And so, so there's kind of an amalgam of Better Man and BSA that really are the thread throughout the whole book with a backpacking metaphor. Because, as a Christian, and this was from John Eldridge's book, Wild at Heart, he goes, look, every man needs 3 things. A will to obey, should be God's will, in my opinion, a woman to love, and a work to do. And so, so we began. Our adult life is like this journey, this quest for authentic manhood. And it's like, all right, I'm starting on a backpacking trip, and I've got my map, and I've got my point plotted. I'm at the trailhead, and this is where I plan to go. And if you stay on the trail, usually you can have a better experience, but when you get lost in the wilderness and you're backpacking, there's some pretty serious negative consequences that can happen rather rapidly. And you could be just 20 yards downhill from the trail, and not even know it's up there, and be stepping over deadfall and just hopelessly lost. And it happens all the time,
Near a poisonous snake, a grizzly around the corner, you might startle that then reacts to protect its cub and attack you. Yeah, you said a couple things that in my How to Write a Book and Get It Published, because I try to encourage authors who just don't know where to start. Yes, it can be your memoir, but write it fictionally speaking, because again, indeed, no one knows or cares who John Doe is, but the story of John Doe, fictionalized, still has a lot of value and is more palatable, more marketable. And going back further, it's what I call, you said about the people on TV. Yeah, those segments, they drive. It's the esteem over substance dumbing down of America our indoctrination factories have become. They are so enthused about themselves and willing, as you said, to show just how dumb they are. And they'll even view that segment again and still not get it, be totally useless. It coined the toxic masculinity BS and turned a bunch of people into soy boy, do nothing, build nothing, into toxic empathy. I forget the author of that book, and I did a show reviewing that book, because indeed we've gone to toxic empathy, bend over backwards, whatever, even if it's negative consequences, go ahead and do it anyway. That sad part of today.
It is indeed, because you see, a lot of people want something for nothing. And if I'm a victim of some kind, you and I don't have much hair. Maybe we're victims of the hair follicle challenge society or whatever. And it's like, so maybe I can get something for nothing just because I'm a victim. And that unfortunately has been reinforced over and over and over. And so everybody's searching for new ways to be a victim, so that I can get something for nothing. And then you've got this whole, well, first it was Ask Siri, and now Ask Alexa, and now Chat GPT, and this basically a total loss of critical thinking and really knowledge, because ignorance is always the enemy. And with all of the ability to know so much today, we have become so much more ignorant because of sloth. We're just lazy. And so, why should I go research something or investigate or debate when I'm not sure about something? I'm going to make this dramatic stand on what Siri told me or Alexa told me, and somebody else is writing that algorithm. So that's what's dangerous about it, is that somebody's writing the program and it's not God, and there are agendas. And so this is a big danger of this craze and this race to AI as fast as we can, to eliminate jobs and, do everything. So
I've written pieces. I've done a couple shows. AI indeed is a furthering of the dumbing down of society. All this patting people on the back and encouragement. Yeah, be happy in the stupid you are. Don't put forth effort to pick yourself up. Indeed, the victimhood mentality, and you said it right, the right word there is sloth. Ignorance may feel like bliss to some at the time, but as you said, it's not bliss. It's dangerous. It's unhealthy, ultimately. And it's part of the reason why Jesus said, the poor will always be among you. It has nothing to do with economics or governance, although it ties into it to a degree. Atlas shrugged. More and more climbing in the cart, expecting to be pulled, and eventually there aren't enough people to be able to pull the cart. But human nature, laziness, especially if someone will keep giving them things they don't have to work to earn.
Right. But we've deviated a little from backpacking.
Here we go again. Hey, my audience knows. I don't.
I know. I read it.
I don't script shows. Whatever rabbit holes open, we dive down them. But
well, I hadn't heard of the Certs candy in a long time. When you said it's like the Certs commercial, two shows in one, and I used to carry a pocket full of those Certs myself. I'm 65, so we're peers. I'm your elder by a couple of years.
But I've used that analogy metaphor for the show. Indeed, two mints in one, two shows in one. For those listening on audio or viewing in the transcript, I'm doing a fishing, reel it back in kind of motion on the screen. Let's reel it back into backpacking. What other life lessons do you want? Again, not wanting to give too many spoilers away. We want them. What is the actual full official title of the book? We've not done that yet.
The title is The Savage Path. My last name, my path, my life. And then the subtitle is A Memoir of Modern Masculinity. So it is a memoir. It's my story. It's a true story. There's facts. There's even photos in my book that go along. And then chapter by chapter, I just give little lessons that highlight a certain quality. It's kind of like a fable, where you got like a moral at the end of the chapter. I don't really explicitly say it, but there's little nuggets in there for those who have ears to hear and, are trying to find those. And so, there's little lessons learned. And like, there's just one good story. So I was a ranger at Philmont, and I go backpacking there. And my job as a ranger is to meet a Boy Scout troop, a crew. They all have to be 14, as a minimum age requirement. Then I go through their health physicals and everything else, and then I kind of give them a shakedown on all the stuff they're carrying in the pack. And I size up the boy, and I got to get his weight down to what he can carry, and then I guide them for 3 days on a 10-day itinerary. And then I train the senior patrol leader, the boy leader, to lead that group for the next 7 days. And then I hike back to the base camp for the backcountry by myself and go pick up another crew. So I had dropped off, this one crew. I'm hiking back, several miles. Sometimes you get a day off and you get to mess around, visit your friends in the backcountry, but I'm hiking back toward the base camp, and I see this kid, and I could tell he was like a runaway, So what happens sometimes is adults, well-meaning, they come and they try to sneak their 13-year-old son, on because they're the parent and they're going on. And I said, he can't go. He doesn't get to go with your crew, so he has to go to a scout camp for adults that are at the training center. and he's with boys he doesn't know and other kids. It's miserable for him. So this kid had enough and had gone over the wall, as I say. So he's walking toward me, on this trail. He's got nothing. His bootlaces are untied. His head's down. His face is red. He's hot. And I'm kind of size him up.
Because he didn't learn on the bunny trail. He wants to go right to the mountain slope. Yes.
Yeah, he wanted to go be with his people and not, be isolated in this other camp. And so I knew I wasn't going to talk him into anything. So I just said, hey, what are you doing? He goes, I'm running away. I'm not staying at that place. I'm going to go find my crew. And I was like, well, that's great. Do you know where they are? And then he got to thinking about it a little bit. And he goes, well, not really. And I said, you got a map? No. You got a compass? No. And he's getting more worried, And then, you have any water? No. Would you like some? And I gave him some of my canteen, and then he's kind of like really starting to think his decision over a little bit. And I go, do you have any food? And he goes, no. And so I gave him a couple of granola bars, and I'm saying, here you go, man. I'm sure you'll be all right. And then I just kept walking, and he was in the other direction. And then he made it about 100 yards, and then he turned around and ran after me and said, no, take me back. And
that's the point. It has to be their decision.
Exactly.
Forcing a conversion to Christ by force doesn't save their soul. So you Christian Bible thumpers, leave me alone. I'll pretend I'm a Christian. Doesn't save their soul. They have to really, truly want the conversion.
That's exactly right. And I knew, because I was just like that boy. In fact, that chapter that I talk about, that was when I was, graduating, was kind of considering my career professions. And, I'd gotten dumped by my girlfriend, and I was really, heart sick about it. And I was, you're like your first real love, and then when you're just, dumped and you're just crushed, you're like, I hate women. And so I was kind of running away from real life myself, at a different level of maturity, and I recognized that in myself, and that's why I wrote about that, in that chapter, using that illustration, a backpacking illustration. Yeah. And many other times when you get lost, and it's like, okay, so I was out with the 6-pack, and this was our very first trip. This guy is like the senior vice president of petrochemicals. The other guy is like vice president of refining, and they're my customers, like many levels up. And I'm 15 years younger than them. And they decide, hey, we're going to go to Estes Park, Colorado. We're going to hike in the Waimanoosh Wilderness. And I'm like, all right, great. So we get off, we come from Corpus Christi, which is sea level, and then we start hiking the same day, which is already a bad idea. And then we didn't have a cap on elevation. And we knew we were going to be going over this pass, like I think it was supposed to be the second day, but anyway, 13,000 feet elevation. So from sea level to 13,000 feet.
And then, of course, the air gets thinner. You dehydrate quicker, and all that stuff.
All that. So we're hiking along, and then we have a USGS quad map, 1954 photo revised, and there's all kinds of trails on the ground that aren't on the map. And I'm like, wow, this must be all these elk hunters around here, and we don't know which one's our trail, and these other ones aren't on the map, and so we're going to have to look at the contoured lines and the drainage and everything else. And man, I was sure I was better at the map reading. I was better at ranger and everything else. And so, but these executives are like, they're type A personalities, man. They're used to being, right. And I wasn't going to piss them off because they're my customers. And it was just like I did with the boys. I said, I'll just let them hike in the wrong direction. I can hike the miles until they figure it out.
Again, so they need to learn
exactly
themselves. Yeah.
So we're at this fork in the trail, and I'm saying, topo, water, drainage, everything screams left to me. And they're like, no, I'm sure it's right. And so, okay, and so we hike on maybe another hour and a half. And then we're up at a real high point, this real pretty lake. And then that guy, Adolf was his name. He goes, hey, Dave, let me see the map. And I'm like, here it is. We're not even on it anymore. and he gave me this cross look. And then he sat there and really studied it for like 30 minutes. And finally goes, man, I think you're right. And then it was like, okay, well, now we have to make a decision. And the right decision always is to go back the way you knew, and get on the trail before where you left off. But we decided, to save time,
take your chance on another uncharted path. Yeah,
we didn't even go on a path. We bushwhacked. We went through scrub willow snowshoots and everything else. And anyway, he ended up getting like acute mountain sickness, severe altitude sickness, near stroke, blood pressure and everything. I had to hike 18 miles and go down to that little narrow gauge railroad between Silverton and Durango, and catch this train and get a EMT and a sheriff to four-wheel drive up there and rescue him out. And, and so again, well, there's a lesson, and it was like, we knew what we should have done. We should have just hiked back, and then, but that's not what we did. And then he got dehydrated but he still, the obstinance was amazing, because I had my Philmont Ranger book, and he goes, Dave,
over substance. Exactly.
It started raining on us, everything's wet, it's heavier. He goes, Dave, if you could just carry my tent. And so now my pack's like 90 pounds. And I said, look, if you want to die out here, that's okay, but I'm not going to die for you. So I'm not going to carry your wet tent and everything else. And this is what we have to do. And by the way, I pulled out my first aid book and I said, this is what it says under, altitude sickness, which then moves to acute mountain sickness. And it's like, then, he got cold and wet. So he had hypothermia. And then it was like death, was actually printed in the book as like the next thing. And I said, you're just one away, man. and so finally, he was feeling bad enough that we did that. So those are two just little stories that are from the book that are pretty engaging. But it's, the narrative of the whole book, backpacking, is when you get off the path and you get outside of God's will, you're going to have a tougher time of it. And then you begin to experience these negative consequences, and you get nicked up and you get, scratched and, scared by snakes or bears or whatever. And then you're like, I better get on the path, because it's just easier walking. It's how God made me to be. It's how I'm gifted with my talents. And that's really the story, for everybody. But again, it's just a suggestion. No one likes to be lectured to. Everyone likes to hear a funny story. It's like, our pastor, he had this great quote. He goes, everybody likes to learn, but no one likes to be taught something.
No, you're absolutely right. And we repeat mistakes we could have easily learned through others' experience, but it goes back to, again, the esteem over substance. People feel really good about their lacking abilities and unable to learn from others to live within our capabilities and means. And your subtitle helps make it beyond David Savage, why would I read his memoir, into knowing, there are life lessons that can relate to everybody here. So again, the full book title?
The Savage Path, and then the subtitle is A Memoir of Modern Masculinity. And there's got 4.7 stars out of 5 rating, 105 reviews. So, that's not just people I could coerce into it.
Trolls, bots, yes, paid spam. I'm joking, people. I'm joking. Yeah. At Amazon and blah 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 blah. Yes. It's on Amazon.
Actually, I think what I'd like to tell your audience, your listeners, if you're curious about anything else, I also have a podcast, and my podcast is called Wrestling with the Inner Man, and that is because the first fight we face each and every day is what Joseph and I have been talking about. And that's the fight between our selfish, sinful nature and our Holy Spirit-inspired divine nature. So you wake up, you got that little devil on one shoulder and the little angel on the other, like an Animal House. And, who do you listen to? And so the podcast, all of my guests, have been through some kind of a major dilemma, whether it's, a life-threatening illness, financial, bankruptcy, being cheated out of something, addictions, you name it. I have about 133 episodes up, and, I'm quite proud of it. And so Wrestling with the Inner Man and the book, The Savage Path, A Memoir of Modern Masculinity, you can find on one website, and the website is www.thesavagepath.com.
Yep, that was, of course, my next and concluding question with every show. What's your website? You've already given it. But yes, the other inability of most people desire to self-reflect
Right.
and be honest. Yeah, they lie all day to others, including themselves, can't self-reflect and know one's own limitations and where need to improve and seek the improvement and seek help from above in doing that. The old Michael Jackson Man in the Mirror song, or Rick Springfield prayer. I send a prayer to heaven for the chance to be a better man than a man I see in my mirror. But most people won't do that in their mirror and ask and recognize, yeah, I'm less than perfect, and there's no such thing as perfect, but better is achievable. Yes?
That's true. And if you don't attempt anything and you don't fail, then you don't have that opportunity to reflect and go, okay, why did I fail? Unfortunately, like I've been through a divorce. There's a chapter in the book about that. And so, I had to be honest and do a real assessment of like, why did that marriage fail?
Oh,
and
it's all her fault, obviously.
Well, yeah, that's what you think initially, But if you consider marrying again, most men would repeat that mistake. They're called rebounders, right? And and so I didn't want to do that. That's horrible, because that's usually what happens. Is then history repeats itself, and you make the same mistakes over and over because you haven't learned from them. And so
yeah, and for the benefit of the transcript, you won't hear when I said it's all her fault. Dave and I we're laughing. It's a joke. It's a point, a lesson to learn. Remember the adage: point a finger, three of your own are pointing right back at you. So anyway, thank you, David Savage, for coming on. Appreciate having you here. It was a great discussion.
Thank you, Joseph. Appreciate it, and good luck with all your future episodes.
Take care. God bless.
All right. God bless you too.
Does God still speak today? He is in everything, in every way. In the growing trees, in every bird that chirps, dewdrops glistening, whispering in every breeze. Those all his works. Real question is, are you listening? Does God still speak today? I hear it in the trees, in every bird that chirps, in the things you let me see. Dewdrops glistening on the leaves at dawn. Those are his works to me all day long. When I look and listen, you are never far. Every little living thing says who you are. He is in everything. He is in everything. He is in every way. He is in every way. In every breeze that moves, in every heart that waits. He is in everything. He is in everything. In the growing trees, in the line of the sky, in the tiny sparrow cutting through the light. What I thought was small turns and speaks so loud. You are here around me now. You are here right now. When I look and listen, you are never far. Every little living thing says who you are. He is in everything. He is in It may be in metaphors, as riddles, in rhyme. He is speaking. Are we still listening in these fallen times?
In the dust of my own mess, you still call my name. Hands shaking, heart unsteady, you don't look away. You stand in the middle of it all, closer than my fear. I was lost in the crowd, then you drew me near. And every wall falls down when you step into the room. Every lie goes quiet when I hear you move. My soul leans in, my knees give way. I know who you are, I know what stays. God among us, God among us, you are here, you are here. God among us, God among us, hope comes alive right here. You are here, you are here, oh, you are here. You touch the broken table, you touch the bent and bruised. The morning finds the ashes and they bloom for you. You hold the names I can't say, you carry what I hide. When I'm too weak to stand up, you keep me alive. And every wall falls down when you step into the room. Every lie goes quiet when I hear you move. My soul leans in, my knees give way. I know who you are, I know what stays. God among us, God among us, you are here, you are here, you are here. God among us, God among us, hope comes alive right here. You are here, you are here, oh, you are here. Savior in the shadows, King with nail-scarred hands. You don't run from my ruins, you rebuild the land. Here in the ache, here in the blaze, I lift my voice and I keep saying, God among us, God among us, you are here, you are here, you are here. God among us, God among us, hope comes alive right here. You are here, you are here. Metaphors, what a bore, I'm far too clever for those whatevers I use. Meta sixes. is lame, way too tame. Move over and let me show you how it goes. Metaphors, what a bore. I'm far too clever for those whatevers. I bend my meaning, clean and quick. I don't hint at apples when I just mean brick. I like my language sharp as chisels, words like razors, words that sizzle. Oh yeah, I use meta sixes to turn my trickses, stack my senses, flip my fixes. Oh, 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 say it straight till the line untwist. Meta sixes, meta sixes. Take one thought, split it in six. Taste, touch, sight, sound, smell, the sixth. Run it through rhythm till logic clicks. That's how I shuffle my little mind tricks. Hey, I don't paint clouds when I mean rain. I count each droplet by its name. I use meta sixes to turn my trickses, stack my senses, flip my fixes. Oh, 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 say it straight till the line untwist. Meta sixes, meta sixes. Through this all, it remains. I still love you, pray for you too. Now, not that you'll return, new flame for you to yearn. 'Cause now looking back, I see you said goodbye, it made me cry. You tried to spare my feelings, claimed it was you, not me. Send me reeling, I felt inadequate, holding my breath, hoping you'd change your mind and come back. Then it hit me slow, right under the skin. All the things you said did not add up within. I kept looking back for a softer sign, but the truth stood there in black and white. Moment of clarity, it cut right through me. Moment of clarity, now I can see you lied to avoid saying my name. I failed us, not you. That's the whole game. I was waiting on a door to swing wide, reading every pause like it might decide if you take it back, if you call me home. But you kept that truth buried alone. I wore the blame like a heavy coat till the mirror spoke and I finally woke. Then it hit me slow, right under the skin. All the things you said did not add up within. I kept looking back for a softer sign, but the truth stood there in black and white. Moment of clarity, it cut right through me. Moment of clarity, now I can see you lied to avoid saying my name. I failed us, not you. That's the whole game. And I still felt love, even through the sting. But love ain't a shield from the way you lead. I won't chase your shadow, I won't beg for proof. I was hurt, yes I was, but I was a fool, only fooling myself. It cut right through me. Now I can see you lied to avoid saying my name. I failed us, not you. That's the whole game. You said goodbye, it made me cry. You tried to spare my feelings, claimed it was you, not me. Send me reeling, I felt inadequate. Hope you change your mind and come back eventually. The moment of clarity came. You lied to avoid saying my name, 'cause it's actually true. I failed us, not you.
Like and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help. Thank you for having tuned into another Constitutionalist Podcast show. I really appreciate that you stopped by. Again, please like, share, subscribe. We need you to help spread the Constitutionalist movement. Thank you again. Take care. God bless. Love you all.